Well, I want to welcome you all to another segment of Christ in Our Neighborhood. And this Sunday, we celebrate Good Shepherd Sunday, where the readings focus on Jesus as the Good Shepherd. And of course, our church has a long history of shepherds within the life of the church, bishops and priests in particular. And we are here with Father Lauro Minimo, who is the director of the Office for Priestly Vocations. And before we begin, I would like to ask you, Father Lauro, how are you dealing with these days, like everyone else is trying to deal with these days with this pandemic? How are you holding up?
I'm just kidding. I'm doing okay. Thank you, Bishop, for asking. I'm sure I'm sharing with everybody the frustration that comes with this, but with the help of God's grace and prayer and some community and continuing to connect with others, I'm able to hang in there. And,
Great. Well, we'll go ahead and begin. I just wanted to get an idea. Tell the people here, what is the role of the director of the Office for Priestly Vocations?
Well, the Office of the Director of Priestly Vocations pretty much is responsible for the promotion of priestly vocations throughout the diocese. And so that's what I've been doing these past few years since my appointment as the Vocation Director. That includes visiting different parishes. Some of you who are watching this maybe remember me visiting and promoting vocation, preaching at the masses at your parish. And I've done that. I mean, I visited pretty much almost all, if not all of the parishes within the diocese, El Centro, Fallbrook, South Bay, everywhere.
And to be more specific, the Office for Priestly Vocations, while it might be a catch-all for religious and diocesan priesthood, we focus primarily on diocesan priesthood. But let's say somebody was interested in, say, the Augustinians, or maybe they were interested in the Jesuits or the Benedictines. Where would they go? I guess they could come to you and you could give them the information.
Yes, definitely. So there have been some of the men that I was working with, and basically during our discussion, our conversation, the man would say, I've been really interested in this particular order, for example. And I would say, well, if that's where you really feel like God is calling you, then I am happy to send them the information or lead them to the right contact, the right website for the Jesuits, for example, Franciscans, what have you. And I lead them that way.
Right. But most of the priests here in the Diocese of San Diego, working and serving here in the Diocese of San Diego, are actual diocesan priests, and many of them go through our seminary system, which is located at the University of San Diego. So we have what is called the St. Francis Center, and the St. Francis Center has basically two components for men as they go through the process of vocation discernment, and one is in the collegiate level and one is in the theologate level. Father Lauro, could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, actually, we have a third one, the pre-theology level.
Oh,
right?
That's correct.
So but basically that's two basic levels there. So the collegiate and the pre-theology program. So these are the seminarians. These are the men who are either studying to get their philosophy degree, or those men who have entered the program, like myself. I entered with a degree in biology, who don't have enough philosophy. So basically, we believe that philosophy is the language of theology. So the seminarians who are in the college program, they are getting their degree here at USD, and those who already have their bachelor's are getting their philosophy requirements taken care of. So basically taking philosophy classes until that prerequisite is taken care of before they can move on to theology. Now, once the man is ready to move on to theology, they stay here in San Diego. Before, we used to send the men to different theologates. For example, I went to Mount Angel Seminary. Some of the men went to Rome, and some went to St. John's in Camarillo. as of last year, Bishop McElroy decided that it would be best to have our future priests, the men information to study or to be formed where they will be serving, which is in San Diego. The Franciscan School of Theology have since moved to San Diego, and they offer the Masters of Divinity program, which is why Bishop McElroy said, well, we can get them trained there. They can get their degree, Masters of Divinity degree there. Why don't they have them study, get their theology here as they're being trained, and so they get familiarized with the diocese. So those are the two main programs of formation that we have here in San Diego. Now, the men who are still studying in the different theologies will finish off where they are studying. So, but moving forward, the men who will be moving on to theology will be staying here in San Diego and getting their theology through the Franciscan School of Theology.
So basically, after someone leaves the collegiate level or the pre-theologate level, they go into 4 years of theology.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And then they're ordained to the transitional diaconate, and then they are ordained to the priesthood for the Diocese of San Diego.
Yes.
But it's always a process of discernment, right? And so that's a very important piece of the puzzle. Some discern the possibility outside of the seminary, they're just questioning, and then the seminary itself, or the St. Francis Center, which has its collegiate and theologate processes, is a form of discernment, but from within. And I think that's a very important thing to think about. I have a question. If a man wants to enter the seminary or to study for the priesthood for the Diocese of San Diego, is there an age limit, young, old, and what are the basic requirements to enter?
Yes. So one of the bigger changes that Bishop McElroy has made in terms of the age requirement is the age limit. Now, he requires that the man be no older than 50 years old when he's ordained to the priesthood. So depending on the man who comes in, depending on whether or not he's already got his bachelor's or not, we have to kind of, in a sense, backtrack, calculate how long it'll take so that you're not over age. So unfortunately, there have been some gentlemen who are some inquirers who said, oh, I think I may be called to the priesthood. I'm kind of interested. Would I be able to make it? And we'd say, well, based on your age, unfortunately, that does not qualify you, because you will be way over 50 by the time you're done. On the other end, the man needs to be younger than 18. Yeah, basically 18. Also, the requirement is that by the time the candidate enters, he will need to be, if he does not have his bachelor's already, he will need to enter USD or be able to transfer to USD as a junior. That's kind of our general requirement.
So they take care of all the general ed before they get into the seminary process.
Yes.
That seems to make some sense, you know.
Mm-hmm.
How would someone who was interested in becoming a priest be able to connect with you?
Well, there are several ways. One, by going onto the website of the diocese, sdcatholic.org, under the Vocations tab. My contact information is there, both by email or by phone. By email, they can basically email me at lminimo, at letter L, then my last name, M as in Mary, I, N as in Nancy, I, M as in Mary, O, L, minimo, at sdcatholic.org.
I'll see if I can have that spelled out here.
Exactly. Or just go to the Vocations tab. Probably the easier.
That would be better.
Or by phone, just calling St. Francis Center at 619-291-7446.
You almost forgot that number.
Yeah,
Well, that's a good thing. You don't call yourself too often. That's good.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So finally, how can anyone watching this help you in the promotion of priestly vocations?
Well, I think first of all, as I always say, I mean, I know that I'm specific for the promotion of priestly vocation, but when I go out throughout the different diocese, different parishes in the diocese, when I promote vocations, they hear me promote vocations overall, and I think that we all have a vocation, number one, and I think that with regards to the priestly vocation, we all should be praying for promoting the priesthood, for example. So those who are watching this, those who have sons or nephews or brothers or cousins who you may think that could be a good candidate for the priesthood, I would say, well, number one, pray for that person. You know, pray for our priests, pray for our seminarians, especially if you see our vocations poster, pray for them. Right? They need our prayers. And then, if possible, maybe how about suggesting that possibility to that friend or relative? Hey, have you ever thought about becoming a priest? Believe it or not, some of the vocation stories from priests that I've heard, they say, well, how did you get started? And they would say, well, somebody from the parish invited me, or my pastor invited me to go to Explore Day, for example, to think about the possibility of the priesthood. So invitation is really powerful. It's basically planting the seeds. I mean, that's kind of what I do a lot when I go through the different parishes, is planting the seeds. And some of these priests say, well, when did you start thinking about it? Well, when I was 10, when I was 8, I was watching Father so-and-so preach out there, and I wanted to be like him. So,
okay, well, I appreciate that. So I think that's really the gist of this meeting, is for people to know you, to meet and greet you, and I want to say thank you, Father Lauro Minimo, the director of the Office for Priestly Vocations, and thank all of you for joining us today. In anticipation of Good Shepherd Sunday, I invite you to send a note to your priest, your parish priest, and let him know that you are praying for him. So have a blessed week and continue to celebrate this Easter with our risen Lord and Good Shepherd. God bless you.